What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I have some pretty fun hands to share with all of you today, so thanks for tuning in.
Aces cracked.
Three-way all in. Tens, kings, aces.
Already did the flop though.
Where did the flop?
Before we begin, let's go over the mystery hand from last week's video. Some of you guessed ace 10 and jack 10, so that was pretty close. I did have a pair of 10s, however, I had 10-8. So you guys almost got it. Nice try to Dinesh, Joe, and Shirag. Hopefully you guys have better luck this time. That's all for the semantics. Let's get into the action.
All right, we buy into the game for 20 bucks, and within just the third or fourth hand, we look down at ace king in the hijack position. There's an open to $1 from under the gun, and then Eggplant Boy over here suddenly decides to rip it all in for 10-15. It folds to us, and sitting here with ace king, yeah, we're just gonna rejam, rip it all in. It folds back around to the under the gun player, who thinks about it for a bit and makes the fold. We decide to run it twice. Let's go to the run out. Looks like we're up against Queen Jack, so we're a 60-40 favorite. Let's try and hold, and I'll play out the audio footage for you guys.
What do you have? Oh my god.
You're live, dude. Oh,
Oh, shit! Oh no!
Heart,
He's got
No heart, no heart, no heart, no heart, please.
oh, no!
You lost! Oh my god! Give me your lose ball!
This feels bad.
No! No!
This feels pretty bad.
Oh,
Alright, top me off. Add me another 10. Rip.
Yo, you just never win with ace king.
I never
against
did,
me.
never.
I'm so sorry, but I'm not sorry. But like, it's just so funny.
Alright, we're gonna lose both boards, so sucks to lose when we were ahead, but that's poker. We just gotta move on to the next hand. For the second hand, we look down at pocket queens in the big blind. We have a min raise from under the gun, which is kind of strange. And it folds to a middle position player who bumps it up to 135. The player after him makes the call, and it folds back to us. Now, we have the third best hand in this game, so we should definitely be 3-betting. I don't know what came over me, but I decided to just call in the big blind, thinking I could be tricky. Maybe I thought that the Eggplant Boy over here was going to stack off because his stack was kind of short. But in reality, just 3-bet when you have pocket queens, guys. So we call like a fish, and the min raiser calls. We go 4 ways to a flop of 5-8-9 rainbow. This is a pretty great board for our hand. We have an overpair. It's not too connected. Sure, there's some straight draws out there, but no flush draws, so pretty happy about that. And we decide to check. The first player throws out a half pot bet of 275 and onto the pre-flop 3-better who folds. Now, the Eggplant Boy decides to rip it all in again. Now on to us with our pocket queens. We are just going to rejam all in and get our stack in the middle with our overpair. And the initial better makes the fold. We decide to run it twice. Let's go to a run out.
no way he doesn't have
I
a
don't
set
have a
or a
set.
straight. Either the set or a straight.
I have an overpair.
What?
6, 8, 8.
Alright.
No, that's
I'm so confused.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
flush draw.
Ooh.
Nice.
Oh.
Got it back.
Alright.
It looks like we were up against 8-6 of diamonds, which is middle pair plus a straight draw. So good thing our queens held up on both boards, and we take down this entire pot. For our third hand, we are under the gun and look down at pocket queens once again. So we open it up to 90. The player right after us makes the call, and it ends up folding around to Eggplant, who decides to rip it all in for $10, the rest of his stack. And now onto the big blind, who makes the call, which is kind of strange considering he only has 703 left. So nothing else to do here but to jam all in for the rest of our stack. So we go all in. The first player folds, and it looks like the big blind misclicked and called by accident, which is kind of unfortunate because now at this point they just kind of have to call off with only 703 left, and considering how big the pot is already. So after some sad words, and using up their entire time bank, they end up making the call. The Eggplant flips over Ace Jack of Hearts, and we have the Queen of Hearts, so that's good. And the other player decides to hide their cards, which I don't blame him, as he misclicked. First board doesn't look that great. It's pretty connected, so hopefully we're good. And I'll just play out the voice call from here.
Oh my god, he's gonna win bull.
Dude, no, please. Dude, please don't do this to me.
Oh my god, he's gotta win
that's such a
both,
bad
right?
board.
At least one.
Yes, let's go!
Oh.
Let's go, dude.
Oh my god.
Holy Somehow, we hold on all the runouts, so we beat both the players and take down this pot. Onto the third hand, we look down at Ace-Jack offsuit in middle position. We have a early position limper, and onto us. This is just a standard open, so we bump it up to 110. It folds around to the small blind who makes the call, and the initial limper makes the call. So we go 3 ways to a flop of 6 ace queen with 2 hearts. Sitting here with top pair good kicker, we're feeling pretty good about our hand. So the first player checks, and now the player before us decides to lead out for $2. This is a very strange bet because we were the pre-flop raiser, so because of that, we should have a lot more strong aces than him. For example, we have ace king, ace queen, ace jack, which is what we actually have. So it's not a great idea to lead into the raiser on a board like this. However, he does decide to do that, so we're just going to make the call. Usually when a player leads out like this, we believe that he has some type of weak ace or queen, something like ace 4, ace 5, maybe queen 10, queen jack, those type of hands. And then he could also have some draws like heart draws and straight draws like jack 10 or king 10. So against that range, we're in great shape. We definitely don't want to be raising and making him fold a lot of those hands that we beat. So we want him to stick around, which is why we just make the call. The other player gets out of the way and we go heads up to a turn, which is the 9 of clubs. This 9 does not change anything at all unless he specifically had ace 9 or queen 9. There are 2 times 3, which is 6 combos of ace 9, and 3 times 3, which is 9 combos of queen 9 available. So that's only 15 combos that we're really afraid of. Other than that, there are still a ton of draws and weaker pairs that we beat. So we are definitely feeling good. And now he checks to us. So we actually think about our spot for a while here. I'm unsure of whether to maybe throw out a small bet or to check. In the end, we decided to check, which in retrospect I think is a mistake. There are a ton of hands we can get value from, such as the draws and weaker pairs at this point. So we really should have thrown out that small value bet, but hey, we're not perfect. The turn is a 3 of clubs, which is a total brick. It definitely does not change anything except for exactly ace 3, which there are 6 combos of. So when he decides to lead out for 2, we are just good here most of the time. So we make the call. They ended up having queen 10 for second pair, and we'll take this pot down. The next hand starts getting real as we look down at pocket kings on the button. There's a early position limp, followed by another limp. It folds around. Onto us. With our premium hand, we bump it up to 130. Small blind folds. Big blind gets out of the way, and both of the original limpers make the call. So we go 3 ways to a flop of 8-7-5 rainbow. This is a pretty disgusting board. It is very connected and middling. So there are a lot of 2 pairs and straights available. The action checks to us, and now we have a decision. Generally, most of the time, we should be value betting flops with our overpairs, but on a board like this, it is very wet, and we are likely to get raised if we bet on a board like this. This board definitely does not favor our range. Onto a turn, which is the 4 of hearts, so the board got even worse. We actually really hate this board right now. Our plan now is to potentially even fold if there's a lot of aggression. However, if it does check to us, we will be betting for value as there are still a lot of draws we can get value from. But that doesn't happen as the first player decides to lead for 210, and now the player after him raises to $9. So on to us, we have to stick to our plans. We were planning to fold if there was a ton of aggression before us, and this looks like a ton of aggression. it's very likely that one of these players has some type of two pair or straight. Because they limp called me preflop, they have a lot of low and middle cards, such as 6x that are straights, and a lot of two pairs like 8-7 and 7-5, now even 5-4. So we're losing to all those hands, and there's very few hands that we're beating, which would take these lines. So we have to unfortunately fold our favorite hand, the pocket kings, and our friend who made the raise to get us to fold our kings was actually on the call with us, and he was kind enough to give us some insight on his hand. So I'll play that out for all of you.
I decided to limp call with 6-9 suited, and this is my reward.
Wow.
So it looks like the razor flopped the nut straight, so glad we got out of the way of that one. Alright, we made it to the mystery hand of the video, so as always, leave your guess on what my two cards are in the comments below. Make sure you are subscribed and you'll have a chance to win that cash prize. Good luck. There's an early position limp and onto us where we bump it up to 110. The action then just folds back around to the big blind, who decides to make the call, and the original limper makes the call. So we go 3 ways to a flop of 9 queen 8 with 2 clubs. This is a pretty connected and wet flop, so when it checks to us, we decide to throw a C bet of 250. So this bet is a little bit on the larger side, given that this board is very wet and connected. We get 1 caller, and we go heads up to a turn, which is the 10 of clubs. So now the flush gets there, a bunch of straights get in, so the board is just super action heavy at this point. And when it checks to us, we decide to check it back. The river is a 4 of clubs, so now there is a 4-liner to the flush, and the first player decides to lead into us for 296. Onto us, we decide to rip our entire stack, we go all in, and the player folds, and we'll take down this pot. For our final hand, we have ace-king in the small blind. There's 2 limps early on, and onto the middle position player who decides to raise it up to 69. The clown dude over here decides to make the call, and onto us. So facing this action, there's 2 limps, a raise, and a call. The raise itself was very small considering that there were 2 limpers before him. So if we just call, everyone's going to call. We're going to go 5 or 6 ways to the flop, which is terrible for ace-king. So we need to be 3-betting, and we bump it up to 316. One of the limpers decides to make the call. The initial raiser makes the call, and the player after makes the call. So we go 4 ways to a flop of 4-8-9 with 2 clubs. This is a horrendous board for our pre-flop range, and it connects very well with all of the callers, and we are also out of position, so we're just going to check this one. The action surprisingly checks around this time, so we get to see a free turn card, which is a good one for us as it's an ace. Now we have top pair, top kicker, and we're first to act. We have to decide whether or not we want to throw out a bet. I think with this ace, it's actually a pretty scary card for the callers because if they had some type of weak pair like a 9, an 8, or pocket 7s, they're going to be pretty scared if we bet considering there's an ace on the board and we 3-bet pre-flop, so we have a lot of aces in our range. In addition, this board is still pretty wet, so they could raise us with some type of flush draw or straight draw, and that would put us in a pretty crappy spot, so we decide to check. The player after us now decides to throw out a bet of 580. The clown makes the call, and now onto us, we just make the call as well. Onto the river, which is a 2 of diamonds, a total brick, which we're happy to see. We now check. And the action checks around, and we are good with our top pair and take down this pot. A few orbits later, we wrap up and end the session. We bought in for $35 and we're out for $115.38, which is a profit of 8 Chipotle Bowl. $80.08, which equates to 224 big blinds per 100 hands over 3.5 hours.
That's all for this one. As always, thanks for watching. Stay safe out there, and I'll catch you all next week.